13 years. 13 years of silence. For a long time, the fate of Kyle Crane, the hero of the original Dying Light, was one of gaming's most persistent, lingering questions. After the credits rolled on the following expansion, he simply vanished into the infected wilds. Was he alive? Had he turned? The community debated for years, sharing theories and hopes. When Dying Light 2 introduced a new protagonist and a new city, it seemed we might never get an answer. But Techland never forgot. What began its life as an ambitious DLC for Dying Light 2 grew too large, too different, and too dark to remain an add-on. It mutated, evolving into its own full-fledged standalone title. This is Dying Light the Beast, released on September 18th, 2025 for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. The Beast is positioned not as a sequel, but as a brutal return to the series' core identity. It's a deliberate pivot away from the grand, societal conflicts of Vildor and a deep dive back into the desperate, intimate, and terrifying world of personal survival. It rips away the comfort of a sprawling city and plunges players headfirst into the decaying wilderness of Castor Woods, a place where the monsters in the dark are far from the only threat. The promise is a rawer, more focused experience, but does this return to form truly recapture the lightning in a bottle magic of the original? Or is it a familiar beast that's forgotten some of its old tricks? Today, we're going to answer that question. We've meticulously consolidated the critical landscape to build a comprehensive, objective picture of this game. This isn't just one opinion, it's the consensus. This is what you need to know about Dying Light the Beast. Let's begin with the narrative, because for so many players, the return of Kyle Crane is the main event. The story wastes no time in answering our 13-year-old questions. Crane has been a prisoner. Shortly after the events of the original game, he was captured and locked away in a clandestine black site facility, becoming a lab rat for a twisted series of experiments. For 13 years, he was subjected to horrific tests with a potent volatile strain of the heron virus. The goal? To weaponize the infection. The result? Crane himself became the weapon, a human-infected hybrid, a ticking time bomb of rage and monstrous power. The game kicks off with his violent, bloody escape, leaving him stranded and alone in the hostile territory of Castor Woods. His mind is set on one thing: revenge. He's hunting a man known only as the Baron, the cruel architect of his suffering and the despotic ruler of this entire region. Now, how has this story been received? This is where we find the most significant and stark division of opinion. On one hand, the story is seen by some as a layered and well-paced revenge plot. This hardened, more cynical version of Kyle Crane is considered a compelling protagonist, and the tightly focused narrative is viewed as a welcome change of pace from the grander, more complex stories of recent years. However, many others have found the story to be the game's weakest link, describing the main plot as paper-thin and a generic revenge quest. The antagonist has been called a stock villain, and the overarching plot is seen as doing little to innovate. The consensus is that if you're looking for a deep or surprising narrative, the main questline will likely leave you wanting. It's a straightforward A to B revenge tale that serves primarily as a vehicle for the gameplay. But the story doesn't end with the main quest. A point of nearly universal agreement is the exceptional quality of the side content and the environmental storytelling. This is where the world of Castor Woods truly comes alive. The optional missions are where the best writing is often hidden, telling smaller, more personal stories, tales of loss, betrayal, and fleeting moments of hope in a hopeless world. Exploring the world uncovers its history through notes, audio logs, and carefully crafted environmental details that tell tales the main plot never touches. It's here that the world-building prowess truly shines. So while the main plot has been a point of contention, the narrative found in the world itself has been widely praised. The verdict on the story is clear. It's a game with a simple central plot, but one that is anchored by the welcome return of a fan-favorite character and elevated by a world rich with more intimate and engaging stories. Of course, you don't just play Dying Light for the story. You play it for the feel. The unmatched adrenaline of a rooftop chase, the kinetic energy of a perfect jump, and the brutal, weighty feedback of melee combat. In this area, the critical consensus is overwhelmingly positive, with most agreeing that the Beast refines the series' signature mechanics to near perfection. Let's break down the core pillars, starting with parkour. This is Dying Light's soul. Castor Woods, however, presents a new challenge. It's a far cry from the dense urban jungles of the past. This is a more rural, sprawling, and less vertical environment. This design shift has led to some debate. There's a notable desire for more high-rise buildings, with the feeling that the flatter terrain of forests and small towns doesn't always allow the incredibly deep parkour system to shine as brightly as it could. You'll spend more time vaulting fences and scrambling over abandoned vehicles than scaling skyscrapers. However, most agree that the movement itself is as fluid, intuitive, and satisfying as ever. The system has been tweaked for the new environment, with more emphasis on long jumps, slides, and maintaining momentum across open ground. Navigating the dilapidated towns, treacherous logging camps, and dense dark forests is still a joy. Next, let's talk about combat. The feedback here is almost universal. The combat in the Beast is a series highlight, perhaps the best it has ever been. It is heavy, visceral, and deeply satisfying. The game's dismemberment system is on full display, making every kill feel impactful and often gruesome. The brutal, weighty combat is consistently cited as one of the game's biggest strengths. The weapon crafting and durability system returns with a controversial twist. A common point of discussion is the return to a system of finite repairs. Once a weapon is repaired a set number of times, it will break for good. This design choice, which leans harder into survival horror, forces players to be strategic and resourceful. You can't rely on one super weapon forever, pushing you to constantly scavenge for new materials and weapon blueprints. But the most significant and celebrated evolution in the gameplay comes from the day-night cycle. A frequent criticism of past entries was that the nights simply weren't that scary. That feedback was clearly taken to heart. Across the board, critics agree that the nights in the Beast are genuinely terrifying. They are darker, often pitch black in the forest, forcing total reliance on your flashlight and your ears. And they are far, far more dangerous. The powerful volatile infected are more numerous, more aggressive, and their AI seems to have been improved to make them relentless hunters. This forces a dramatic shift in playstyle. At night, stealth is no longer just an option. It is often a necessity for survival. This return to the high-stakes, heart-pounding horror of the original game's nights has been celebrated by virtually every outlet as a massive success. When the sun goes down in Castor Woods, you are no longer the hunter. You are the prey. Now we have to talk about the game's namesake, its biggest new feature, the Beast Mode. As a direct result of the horrific experiments performed on him, Crane has a rage meter that fills as he both takes and deals damage. Once the meter is full, it triggers automatically, unleashing his infected side. When this happens, the screen tints red, the sound muffles, and Crane becomes a near invulnerable killing machine. He is faster, his melee attacks are replaced with powerful claw strikes that can tear infected apart, and he gains access to a unique set of primal abilities. These abilities are unlocked through a dedicated skill tree and include a powerful pounce to close distances and a feral roar that stuns nearby enemies. On paper, it's a fantastic idea, giving the player a powerful comeback mechanic. In practice, however, its implementation has proven to be another major point of division. On one side, many find it to be a fun and cathartic addition to the gameplay loop. It serves as a spectacular panic button when you're overwhelmed, turning a desperate, near-death situation into a glorious display of power. It's considered by some to be a thrilling mechanic and a satisfying reward for surviving tough encounters. However, other critics found the execution to be clumsy and at times frustrating. A key complaint revolves around the mode's automatic activation. Because you can't control when it triggers, it can activate at the most awkward moments. For instance, right after a big fight is already over, completely wasting the power-up. This lack of player agency is a recurring point of criticism. Furthermore, some of the unlockable beast skills were found to be of little practical use, feeling more gimmicky than helpful when compared to Crane's standard parkour and combat moves. So, while the beast mode is a spectacular and often thrilling new feature, its execution isn't seen as perfect. It's a powerful addition, but its automatic nature and the mixed utility of its skills have been noted as a tangible flaw. The open world of Castor Woods marks a significant departure for the series. It's a gritty, atmospheric, and oppressive setting that feels fundamentally different from the cities we've explored before. The world is a patchwork of decaying Americana, small, fortified survivor settlements, dilapidated towns, and vast, dark, imposing forests. The world design has been widely praised for its thick atmosphere and its density of meaningful content. To help players traverse this large map, Dying Light, the Beast reintroduces drivable and customizable vehicles. Their implementation has been very well received. The vehicles are described as feeling weighty and are essential for navigating the large open areas. They can be upgraded with defensive measures like reinforced plows, armor plating, and roof mounted UV lights, turning your ride into a mobile safe zone and a formidable weapon. The general consensus is that vehicles are a natural and necessary fit for this new, larger scale map. The world is also packed with activities that feel both organic and rewarding. There are sprawling, multi level infected hives to clear out, military convoys to loot for high tier gear, and special, powerful infected that act as mini bosses roaming the wilds. The wealth of these open world activities is a key strength, ensuring that exploration is consistently rewarded. This isn't a world of repetitive icons, it's a space that encourages natural, unguided exploration. In short, while some may miss the dense verticality of past settings, the world of Castor Woods has been largely praised as a successful, atmospheric, and engaging new playground. And now, we have to talk about the technical state of the game. This is perhaps the most objective and concerning issue raised, and it's a problem that disproportionately affects the PC version. While the game's grim art direction and phenomenal sound design have received praise, the technical execution at launch has been a significant point of widespread criticism. On PC, the issues are numerous and severe. There are countless reports of jarring stuttering and inconsistent frame rates, even on high-end hardware. The most significant problem is a major memory leak, which causes the game's performance to degrade steadily over a single play session, eventually leading to slideshow-like frame rates and potential crashes. The practical impact is that many PC players are forced to restart the game frequently just to maintain a playable state. Techland has acknowledged this and stated a patch is in the works, but at the time of this review, it remains a serious problem. Other reported bugs across all platforms include issues with the day-night cycle becoming stuck, mission-critical doors becoming indestructible, and co-op desynchronization problems that can make playing with friends a frustrating experience. In stark contrast, reports indicate that the console versions on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are far more stable. While not entirely free of minor bugs, they appear to offer a much smoother and more consistent experience compared to the current, troubled state of the PC port. This performance disparity is a crucial factor that potential buyers must consider. So, after weighing all the evidence, what is the final, consolidated verdict on Dying Light the Beast? A very clear picture emerges. This is a game that triumphantly returns the series to its darker, more intense survival horror roots. The core gameplay loop of fluid parkour and brutal, satisfying combat is considered by most to be the absolute best it has ever been. The reintroduction of a genuinely terrifying night cycle has been almost universally praised, reminding players of the unforgettable tension that made the first game a classic. However, this excellent package is not without its significant flaws. The main story is a divisive, straightforward revenge plot that many found to be underdeveloped. The game's flagship new mechanic, the Beast Mode, is a fun, empowering idea that is hampered by a clumsy, automatic activation system. And most significantly, the game is held back at launch by serious technical problems, especially on PC. So, who is this game for? The consensus is clear. If you are a longtime fan of the series, especially the first Dying Light, this is an easy recommendation, with a major caveat for PC players. It delivers on the core fantasy of the series and refines the mechanics that fans love. For newcomers, the recommendation is more conditional. If you can look past a weaker main story to enjoy the stellar gameplay and world building, you will likely have a fantastic time. But for PC players specifically, the most prudent advice is simple. Wait. Wait for the patches that address the performance issues. Underneath the technical problems lies a game that is very, very good. It's just a beast that needs to be properly tamed by its creators before it can be fully enjoyed on that platform. Dying Light. The Beast is a brutal, familiar, and thrilling evolution. It is a game of incredible highs and noticeable lows, resulting in a title that is great, but falls just short of masterpiece status due to a divisive story and a troubled technical launch. Thanks for watching. For more on the latest games, be sure to subscribe. Let us know your experiences with Dying Light the Beast in the comments below.